the United States is far stronger than Iran. And we should expect the United States to overwhelm and destroy Iran really easily. But the law of asymmetry states that that's usually not the case. It's usually the underdog that has the advantage.
We are fighting for our homeland and our sovereignty and our independence, and our crime is that we oppose the genocide that the British regime and the American regime and Western regimes have been supporting. The Iranians have been planning for this day ever since the invasion of Iraq. They knew that at some point the Epstein regime will go after Iranians, and therefore they've been preparing themselves for many years.
Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
Right? So yes, it seems like the empire is invincible, but if you actually think about it, the empire, its advantages becomes over time its disadvantages, which will lead ultimately to its downfall. Okay? So the mass leads to inequality, the organization leads to overproduction, which leads to factionalism, and death leads to hubris. That's why an empire must fall over time.
And they said, well, how are you doing on a scale of 0 to 10? How are you doing with the attack? And I said, about a 15, I would say, with 10 being the best.
But an empire cannot fall by itself. It needs an enemy that forces it to collapse. Okay? And so what happens is that an enemy will emerge that will overwhelm the empire because it is able to take advantage of the weaknesses of the empire.
We're waiting for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
Well, the first major weakness of this empire is that the people aren't really motivated. So if you, as people, are really motivated, you have a huge advantage, okay? We call this energy.
So you're saying that Iran is ready and willing to take on the U.S. military if there were to be ground troops?
Well, we were ready for this war even more than the previous war.
Now, as an empire, you become insular. You refuse to admit your mistakes. You refuse to learn from others. Well, if you are willing to admit your mistakes, if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to promote the best and brightest, if you're willing to be meritocratic, you have a huge advantage, okay? And so this idea of openness. So
you can see, the quality of our missiles, how much they are upgraded after the last war, because we learned lots of lessons.
If people are able to remain united, if they're able to have a common purpose, they'll be strong, okay? So if an enemy of the empire emerges with these three qualities, energy, openness, and cohesion, this enemy will defeat the empire. Does that make sense?
The people of Iran are united, and we will see that the United States will fail, and the United States will pay a heavy price.
We are prepared for any other eventuality, even, a ground invasion. So our soldiers are prepared for any scenario.
But Iran is not a military superpower either, and we're seeing the vast majority of drones and missiles being shot down by air defenses. I mean, surely Iran cannot win a military war and therefore has to go for some other kind of strategy in coming to a settlement.
Don't worry about America, its technology. Don't worry about the economy. Don't worry about these things, okay? Just ask yourself one question. Is Iran transforming as a society? Are people becoming much more motivated? Are people in Iran learning from their mistakes and innovating and becoming resilient on the battlefield? Are the Iranians sticking together as a people? Okay? Because if the answer is yes to all three questions, then Iran will win and America will lose.
Iran will defeat the United States. Time will tell.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission.
Stay young, stay pro-Black. Peace.